This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Hello, everybody again. My name is Botselo, and I will be moderating this webinar. So I want to share some house rules first before we begin. So please, when you enter the roundtable, make sure you are on mute. Remain on mute throughout the roundtable. Ensure your camera is off. Type your questions or comments in the chat box only. Please make sure you put your name and your country. Those whose questions or comments are selected will be asked to unmute and speak. If you're asked to speak, please make sure you introduce yourself by your name and which country you're from, and then repeat the question you commented on in the chat box. So today's webinar will be about acquiring digital skills for jobs online. I'd first of all like to thank everybody for taking the time to show up and to come enjoy this powerful discussion that will probably, and I'm sure not even probably, we're going to get a lot out of it. I would like to first of all thank all of our esteemed speakers for making the time to come share their knowledge and expertise. Just to introduce our speakers, we have Emmanuel Leslie Adaye. I'll introduce myself last. Speakers first. We have Tristan Dampis. We have Emmanuel Leslie Adaye. He's from Ghana. He's the co-founder and CEO of Talent in Africa and Africa Skills Hub. And then we have Tristan Dampis from South Africa. She's the spokesperson of Mobby Jobs Africa. We have Eyitayo Ogunmula from Nigeria, the founder of Utiva. We have Zanele Diniso from South Africa, CEO of Periwinkle Home Executives. We have Henry Avimo from UK, researcher, economist, consultant from the World Bank. We have Iman Roslan from Egypt, regional head, BD and partnerships from Udacity. We have David Abia from Burundi, CEO of Bujahab. Thank you to all the speakers for making the time. Please, if your mic is not working, just let us know on the chat box so we can make sure that it works when we begin the questions. So this is how the webinar is going to be structured. We're going to have the introduction question, and then we're going to have the speakers' questions, and then lastly, we will have a panel discussions from our audience asking our speakers any questions that they may have. So now to the introduction. The COVID-19 pandemic has radically altered the nature of work and of seeking work. Various organizations have adopted virtual working strategies, creating a boundless, borderless work environment where people telecommute to fulfill their tasks. Over the past months, many large centralized offices have been abandoned in favor of a remote model. Whilst the prospects of remote work are clouded with a general skepticism about its effectiveness and implications for social relationships, statistics garnered so far seem very promising. 80% of global corporate remote work has shifted to virtual and mixed forms of team collaboration during the early part of the coronavirus crisis. 64% of organizations say that the shift to virtual teamwork will likely be permanent because of COVID-19. At present, over 25% of employees worldwide work in a 100% remote organization that observes virtual team collaboration, where every employee works in her or his domestic time zone. Of course, Africa is not trailed behind. The COVID-19 pandemic has catapulted the region into the fourth industrialization. Many remote working opportunities are increasingly becoming available to its youth, transcending borders, work visa, and relocating requirements. Surprisingly, the region is one of the top continents embracing remote work. The adoption of remote work by employers means job applicants need to equip themselves with the relevant tools that meet companies' expectations. Given this, the Youth Alliance for Leadership and Development in Africa, YALDA, has organized this webinar bringing together experts from our continent who can speak both about what skills the youth needs and what we should expect and demand from the relevant institutions and authorities. So just to start with the overall question for our speakers, firstly, what are the types of online jobs available out there? What trends are we seeing in the online job market? Can someone really make a career working online and get paid well? Secondly, how can a young person in Africa diversify their set of digital skills to become a competent and competitive individual in the global online job market? I would like Iman to kick off this question. Let me know if you need me to repeat it again.
No, it's okay. I'm very excited to be here. Hello. For this job for this question, it's a bit tricky because, as everyone knows, there are this basic set of skills that everyone should have in digital. But then now with the remote work and the new normal and the change in how disruptive technologies such as AI and data science and security are pushing towards more advanced skills. But the question is tricky because this is not a problem and not the challenge. In every country in Africa, we see that there is a lot of talent that comes out of university. But then with the technical and professional skills that they might have, the challenge always relies also on the business skills that are needed to land on jobs. So if a person is very highly technical, but lacks the skills to see the jobs online, negotiate over them, win them, and then make sure that they succeed to grow in them, then they lack very necessary skills. So I would say that there are two sets of skills, one that's around digital and the technical and the functional skills, but also there are business skills that they need to acquire in this new normal and in the virtual world to be able to get visibility and get the job and grow in it. That's for the first part. I'm going to try to be concise to be able to cover most of the questions related to the part one of the question. What does a person need to do to be able to get opportunities? They need to look deeply in whatever they have as competitive and different skills that would make them unique and exclusive to the online job demand, because now they are competing with the whole world, right? So number one, they have to look deeply in what, like for example, differentiates them from another person. For example, if someone is even a graduate from a med degree and they want to work online in, for example, something around sales for any kind of med product, if they have a marketing skill and talent, they are better positioned to be nailing this job because they have something competitive that differentiates them. So number one, what's the differentiation? And number two, do you have the right business skills that would enable you to get the job? And those are built, right? There are people born with those kind of skills, but you have to build them. And this is like the job of the enablers, the NGOs or the communities or the hubs that we see here, or for example, like platforms like Udacity and other enablers, to build along with the technical or the functional skill, this set of business skills to get them to have clear visibility and exposure, right? But
yeah,
so this is the second thing, build the skill. The third thing is to be on the lookout always, and to be able also to grow your skills and your talents, because now again you're competing with the whole world. So whatever you enter the market with, to be able to stay there and sustain and grow, you have to upskill in the digital world to be able to maintain your competitiveness. I'm not gonna dwell a lot in this. I'm sure within the conversation we'll cover in depth what are the skills needed. But let's stop here and pause for now to try to answer to take answers from our dear speakers, and then come back perhaps again to the question.
yes. So just to clarify, you have 5 minutes to elaborate on the question that I asked, and then each speaker will also be able to answer the same question, and then we'll have the questions from our audience after all the questions have been asked. So you still have enough time for elaborating. So please feel comfortable to share whatever information you want to share within the 5 minutes, of course. Henry, I'll be passing the mic to you. Let me know if you got the question or if you need me to ask it again.
Oh, I got the question.
All right.
So with the remaining minutes that I do have, I would like to share a very successful story that we have within Africa, a very successful model. It's with the government of Egypt, and it's around how not only the person has to do some like effort to get opportunities in the remote work, but how governments could serve in this ecosystem as well. The government launched a very successful free scholarship program back in April 2019, coinciding with COVID, where within this program, with the partnership of Udacity and 4 of the top digital remote work marketplaces, we have built a program around enabling the youth, the talented youth, with both the digital technical skills, but also with the business hands-on practice skills. So far, the results were that 7 out of 10 persons got a positive career impact. 50% of those were able to land gigs on freelancing marketplaces or grow their gig portfolio there, projecting earnings to the country of $65 million in less than a year. And individual earnings for the individual who graduated ranging from $500 a month to $3,000 a month. So it's doable. The learning journey is less than 5 months, ranging from 3 to 5 months, dependent on the background that the person has. And this tells you also that governments have a very effective role. And the ecosystem of creating this digital and remote work needs partnership. Needs sponsorship, but also needs like top online or local platforms who have the capability to upskill on both the technical skills or the remote work. And it also needs partnership, very active from the employer side. Like for example, in this case, those are the marketplaces, but there are also other examples within the regions relating to the offshoring, outsourcing employers who also offer business process outsourcing or knowledge process outsourcing to the enterprise clients through hiring remote workers everywhere in the world.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Those are just that's a beautiful answer. I love the part about how much money they're making.
Yes.
And how it's very important for the government to enable and support the youth, because if all the other young persons are aware of how much money is involved, then that they could actually make this a career, they would be motivated to advance and become more competitive in this field. Thank you so much, Iman. We'll move to Henry. Henry, you have 5 minutes.
Yeah. All right. So thank you, Iman. So once again, I think Iman actually hit the nail on the head right there. So I don't think the real question there should be how can they acquire these skills, because how to acquire these skills has already been put in place. So there are so many online learning resources which are available to everyone from every part of the country or from every part of the continent, which African youth can actually use to acquire skills. But rather, I think the question that should be asked is what skills should they acquire? What skills should they acquire is obviously going to be determined by the job market. And if we go back to the first question, or to the first aspect of the question that asks what type of online jobs are available and what trends are we seeing, and the most important thing you see are freelancing, as Iman has already mentioned. And or rather, one of the most important aspects of freelancing is usually in software engineering, software development, and this ranges from so many things. We have website developers to app developers, and the skills they actually need in order to actually hold those positions are usually around learning different programming languages. And when it comes to learning programming languages and acquiring these skills, then you can either learn it through online courses, as I've already said, or you can do learning by doing. And learning by doing is usually the easiest and the cheapest one. So there's so many forums that are dedicated to programmers, are dedicated to learning how to code. And I think this is one important thing for African youths, because if you look at India, so for instance, India is one of the leaders for freelancing, especially for app developing and website developing. India actually leads that, and one of the reasons for this is because we all know of the India and ICT relationship that that's basically taking the world by storm. I mean, even the CEO for a lot of the huge multinationals are all Indians because of their ICT. And one of the ways which African youth can actually acquire these skills is learning by doing, or learning through online sources. And these skills are just learning different programming languages. But I'm not limiting all the skills which they can acquire to just learning programming languages. But from the market, from the trend in the market, we're looking at the digital age, which has already come into place. And so we don't want to be left behind again. So in the original industrialization, when a lot of the world were being industrialized, Africa was left behind because we never industrialized. We all relied on natural resources. And so this is another aspect which we cannot be left behind, because unlike industrialization, which required movement of human capital for people to learn, the internet actually makes this accessible to everyone from every part of the world. So you can learn whichever digital skill you want, and you can basically make yourself very competitive and competent. And particularly, I think one thing that we need to also emphasize is the use of teamwork. So building your portfolio, building your rapport as a freelancer or for an online job, you can also have a team. And this basically gives you the ability for people to understand what kind of work you're doing and to also create security. Because a lot of the stigma behind Africa is the ability for people to take your money and run away with it. And so having a team and having the security for people to trust you also helps in us securing those jobs. And as Iman also said, this is a place where governments actually also have enough or have a role to play as well, not just in providing the backbone for accessing digital technologies, but for also providing the security for people to make sure that they are protected online and to basically understand what they're getting through. So for the first aspect of the question, which just asked what are the type of online jobs? So there are several types, but most of them are usually in freelancing and have to do with software development and software engineering. And then when we're looking at the trends in which we're seeing in the online job market, we're seeing COVID has created a paradigm shift. Everyone is having to do remote work. And in this case, we're having to see that remote work is dominating the market space. And especially for IT support staff, or basically IT related jobs. And so this is a trend in the
Yeah.
market. Yeah. So cybersecurity is taking a huge leap forward now because everything is being digital. Everybody is having to send emails constantly and to work constantly. And so cybersecurity has become priority for a lot of organizations and a lot of individuals. And
Indeed.
so we're seeing a huge demand for
Yes.
cybersecurity certifications everywhere. And you can get these certifications by taking online courses. I know this because my sister actually has one as well. So you can take cybersecurity online courses and get certifications for it that actually make you more desirable. This
Yeah,
is one of
that's true. That's
yeah.
Henry, your time is up. Sorry to cut you off because you're really sharing very important notes. Just to like highlight on something you mentioned, with the new digital remote work, most opportunities you can learning by doing. You know, it's not just about having a university degree anymore, like you said.
Yeah.
Most jobs need a portfolio and a reason to trust you by seeing the skills that you have delivered with other people. So I really like
Yeah.
that point. Sorry to cut you off, but time is not on our side.
All right. No problem. Thank you.
Yes, Emmanuel, you're next.
Okay, good afternoon, and thank you for having me. And I think so. Good afternoon from Ghana. I'm representing Ghana here on this conversation. So you know, I think your question is, what are some online jobs available? And from recent research, we realized that one key online job that is trending is the freelance, which all my colleagues have mentioned that. Another one that is most also present is about also, selling your designs or building websites for clients who are even outside your territory. But with all this, I always say that, when it comes to online jobs, it doesn't only pertain to developers or coders, but it applies to every field that you find yourself. And you know, because of COVID, everyone works from home, people are unable to move around. And if you don't have a different skills that can help you to work remotely, you're not able to find online jobs. And I think Iman and others mentioned about having additional skills that can help you to get online jobs. When we look at the trend, that the trend that is happening right now, and because of the recent pandemic, a lot of companies are closing down, allowing their staff to work from home, which means that if you're working from home, your work, you should be able to know how to use technology. You should know how to. You need to know how to work as a team. You should also know how to able to work effectively on your own to able to get those jobs. So working online or having an online job is not only on it, but it has other additional skill that one must achieve or one must acquire them to enable that person to be able to work effectively when it comes to online jobs. And the other question also asks about, can someone really make it as a career? Of course, because of recent pandemic and a lot of jobs that are available that you can do online. And recent jobs that people always apply is data analytics. And this job, you don't have to be physically present. You can work online, you can work remotely, and you can able to make it as a career for yourself. I know I have a lot of colleagues in Ghana who work. They sit in Ghana, but they work for companies and organizations across the continent. And it's a career that they are building. So one does not need to be physically present in the company before they can able to acquire experience or they can able to make one career or make one job as a career. But they can able to do wherever they are. And the other thing is diversity. How can they diversify their skills in this digital age? I always say that as a young person, you should be able to learn more than one skill. That's what I always say, learn more than one skill. Recently, a guy that we have in our office, who was a program manager, currently went to learn how to use photography and now selling images online. And that is additional work that the person is getting for himself. With this digital age, if you're able to acquire all these skills, it's helpful to put you in a level where you can be able to get jobs and get job where you're not even physically present in that particular country. So learning how to code, graphic designing. There are a lot of online platforms that you can learn all these skills without you getting to going to school or getting to a university to go and learn data analytics or going to learn digital marketing or going to learn how to build websites. These are skills that you can acquire online, and I urge the youth to look at those opportunities, learn new skills, and make sure to take advantage of the online jobs that are available across the continent. And as Iman said, you're not only competing with people around you, but now you're competing with the whole world. Once an online job and everywhere in the world can also apply to those jobs. and it should be willing, it should be ready to also to stand with them and apply it. So I would say that at this moment there's a lot of opportunities, and one must be able to stand and also get more skills and apply those skills and get these online jobs. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. I really liked the 2 points you raised. I could actually attest to everything you said. You can make this into a career. I'm currently a full stack digital marketer for a company in the US. I've never went there. I've never left Africa, but I'm completely doing remote work just from learning by doing and just getting myself out there. And another important point that you highlighted is making sure that you have various skills. Like I decided to be full stack because that meant I could help with SEO, I could help with social media, I could help with graphic design, and it's quite, there's a high demand for it, and a lot of young people really need to take this opportunity and leverage it, because it's serious. You can make dollars, you can make euros, you can make any currency that's 10 times the currencies in Africa. Zanele, you're next. Yeah. Zanele, were you able to fix your mic? I believe Zanele is still having a challenge with her mic, so we will move on to David. Hello, David.
Hey, hello.
How are you, David? I believe
Yeah, good.
I might have to reintroduce you again, because I don't think you were
Exactly.
here when I was introducing you. This is David Abia from Burundi. He's the CEO of Buja Hub. So David, you have 5 minutes. Let me know if you got the question or if you need me to repeat it again.
Yeah, I've got the question.
Awesome.
I've got the question, and of course, as they've already said, all that have gone before me, the online world, which I call the digital world that we're living in today, of course, has a lot of new opportunities. And this has been said in different angles and different experiences. But one thing I like to talk about when I'm talking about this kind of online jobs is like living in another world. Of course, with the COVID-19, which has even made it even more better and has put source on online jobs, because they as they have said, there's a lot of opportunities in the digital world. There's a lot of opportunities, and all these opportunities need a lot of skills. But the skills, of course, also as I think she's from Egypt. I think she mentioned something about skills and the availability. Of course, the skills are already available. There's a number of platforms that offer digital skills. But what I would really want to talk about is, I think we're on the general questions, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
The first general question.
Exactly. Can someone really make a career by working online? Of course, that is you've said it even more better that you're already doing it. And if we all give our experiences, you're also doing it. Recently, we've been working with a group of now we have 12 young people who never did economics at any level of life, who never did IT, but now they're doing forex. Yeah, they're doing the forex trading, and it's really generating income for them. That's what they spend their time doing, and we continue to train more people on that, and they can acquire more skills, and people are getting up to 300 USD per day, and it's really working for them. So making the technology, the digital jobs a career, it's something that, of course, our cultures and our education didn't tell us in the beginning, but now people are starting to find out by themselves. As they say about curiosity, people are becoming curious, and also the usage of technology, it's becoming more useful in Africa, and in different African countries. Many people are starting to see these opportunities, and people who are ready, they are going themselves. So it's not about the education. When sometimes we have these discussions and people talk about transforming the education system so that we can involve IT. But normally I say this digital world, it's like everyone is finding themselves in the digital world, because our education was general, used to give us a lot of things. I'm talking about the concept of Burundi, where you're doing a lot of subjects and everywhere you're everywhere. But in the digital world, everyone identifies themselves. Someone who feels that they're good in can do web design, they go into web design. Those who feel comfortable in marketing, they can do what they want. So it's an open world where people have the choice. They have the power to choose for themselves. And it has really been an opportunity for many. We're getting a lot of feedback every time from a lot of people, young people in Burundi, who are now making it as a job. People who used to go looking for jobs, but now they have stopped. And one other thing is that that is very important is the digital job opportunities are not do not require papers. Of course, you don't have to have university or masters or whatever. You don't need all that. It's all about the experience. It plays with the experience, how much you commit yourself to learn, and how much you learn and how you're applying what you learned. So it's like a free world. It's really opening up opportunities. And I think mine is just to say that it's upon us Africans to now embrace this, understand it, and maybe send out the message to more African young people and Africans, so that they can understand really that technology now is an opportunity, and more of them can create that job, because it is really, really rentable. Thank you.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much for that response. It's really all up to African youth to take advantage of the opportunities that are available. Like you mentioned, David, it's really all about the motivation you have, right? So many platforms offer everything for free. So you could decide to just make that choice to learn. And most companies do look at your eagerness to grow more than, especially entry-level positions in this digital remote works. They're looking for eagerness to grow and eagerness to learn more than experience, because I know most young people like to make these funny memes about entry level be like 10 years experience needed. But with digital jobs, it's not that. You just need the eagerness to learn, and you need to show that you've been trying to learn, you've been growing yourself, and you have your foot in the door. Let's try Zanele again. Zanele, are you there? Zanele's been having a problem with her mic. She's one of our speakers. Hopefully she has it sorted, but I doubt she has, because I'm still failing to reach her now. Zanele, are you there? Yes? Please make sure you mute your mics. And then another thing to add to our audience, as our speakers are speaking, you can note down your questions so that we will have a panel discussion at the end. So since we're failing to connect with Zanele, I'll move on to the speaker questions. Iman, go back to you again. This is your question. With time, remote working will be inevitable and will play a significant role in mitigating the unemployment rate in Africa. How do you see governments playing a role to facilitate this process, as in providing a conducive business environment to sustain these remote works?
Thank you, Bocello. To answer this question, I will put in the simple analogy between the types of remote work, just simply stating that on one hand, the digital freelancing is a one-time contract, right? Or even a part-time contract, but on the other extremity, the outsourcing or of the offshoring outsourcing is a full-time remote work contract. to be able to, for governments to support the first and near the digital freelancing. As was mentioned earlier, there are two main key enablers that should be done. First, to provide the opportunities for upskilling for the talented youth to get the right technical skills and the business skills to enter, but also to provide an ecosystem of support in terms of creating a community, a peer-to-peer professional community of support between those upskilled and ready to go to market youth, so that they grow together and team up together. And yes, as was mentioned earlier by Henry, the world is going towards teaming up. So it started with individuals working on digital freelancing marketplaces, but now the digital freelancing marketplaces trends are towards teaming up, and to be able to have that in a secure environment, government should support, of course, within each country, and also within creating community platforms online. That's one. On the other hand, when it relates to the other extreme, which is offshoring, outsourcing, and where it generally involves, like, for example, a management consultancy firm like the Big Four, or any top player in the offshoring, outsourcing, for example, in tech, the government could provide incentives, direct or indirect. Direct incentives to those big firms to hire remotely from another country is providing, for example, like tax breaks or location-specific breaks, or, for example, train to hire, right? The train to hire, where the government bears the training costs of those individuals who will get to be placed remotely and work for those offshoring, outsourcing companies. And the indirect way to do this is to create like for an ecosystem within each country, where there is the culture that doing, for example, business process outsourcing, which is in its simple way a call center, giving like this like spirit and culture around that this is a favorable job, decent job, sustainable job, and at the high end creating also the hype around adopting the disruptive tech that is currently demanded by those companies. In previous questions, in previous comments from my fellow panelists, it was mentioned which digital skills should be adopted. For the digital freelancing, it should be the top global market demand skills that require, for example, low or medium prerequisites to be able to have an opportunity for high capacity entry. But at the extreme end of the offshoring, outsourcing, although in the BPO, it requires like very low set of skills to begin with, but now the hype and the top demand is around the disruptive tech, such as artificial intelligence, data analytics and data science, cloud computing, cybersecurity, and automation, because those kinds of services, they yield a lot with a minimal number of hours. The government has a role to play into nurturing both ecosystems, because there is enough talent to support and to feed in both extremities of the remote work, I would say, spectrum.
Definitely, I would have to agree with that one, because something as simple as allowing these cash apps to sort of set a good base in a country. For example, with Botswana, it was kind of a challenge in the beginning with PayPal and banks, because there was just so many unnecessary red tapes and bureaucracy steps that sometimes these cash apps find it hard to establish themselves because of the whole processes that the government have added to them. So that's a good point. Government is very, very, very crucial in this as well, to make it very easy for young people to find this field attractive.
Yes, exactly.
Henry, yeah, you're next. To what extent is the current African job market attractive to investments in digital technologies that can enable job opportunities? And how active of a role do you expect governments to play?
Okay. So I'll start from the bottom top. I believe governments do actually play a huge role in this sense, because, for instance, a majority of the digital technologies access in Africa is actually through mobile technologies, and so we are having that a lot of people access the internet and have access digital technologies through their mobile phones. And in this case, for example, we have the fiber optic backbone in Africa is usually through submarine cables that land in different countries. So I think Nigeria has, about more than a couple of submarine cables landed in them. Ghana has 2 submarine cables. And so to build the fiber optic backbone within each one of these countries actually requires government involvement or government persuasions. On the other hand, when we're looking at investment from the private sector, we're looking at the building of towers, mobile towers, for cell signal, for 3G, 4G, and now 5G access. And so when we're looking at the job markets, or when we're looking at the job market for Africans, then it's not the job market itself, but rather the investment to get this job market started. In the sense is we're looking at how do we improve the digital backbone within African countries. And that's where governments play a huge role, in which is why I started from the bottom up. Governments actually require, or we require government a lot in order to build the digital backbone along with private sector. And so it's not just private sector in the sense that government also improve the regulation of these industries. So it could be that the government would also improve the financing of building digital technologies in Africa, but regulating the mobile telecommunication operators, which actually provide 3G and 4G access that gives people access to the internet, is actually very important as well. And so it could be, so the job market itself or the investments are actually very promising given the large market Africa is. But to what extent, as you said, can we get this investment? And so here we're looking at basically we're looking at how or what incentives are these investors actually looking towards. And so the incentives have always been the same for every single category, which is how much revenue or how much profit can they generate from this from this digital technologies investment. And as we have seen in the past with the digital technologies or with the mobile telecommunications industry, companies like MTN, who are the largest mobile telecommunications operators in Africa, Airtel, already recoup a lot of revenue and profits from the market. And so the digital technologies actually does provide a large incentive for investment for these operators. The question now is, will the government help them? So, for instance, if you follow the Nigerian news, there's currently been a ban on Twitter, which has affected a lot of people who operate their businesses through Twitter on that aspect, and has actually lost revenue for the country, especially for those people. And so we're looking at more, if we look more along these lines, also other African countries have banned on different social media. In Uganda, for example, they have a social media tax on Facebook. So if you want to use Facebook, you have to pay a tax. And these are the aspects in which African governments need to actually dial back, because in this sense, we need more investment, and to gain this investment, we need a more incentive or incentivized climate for these individuals to invest in their digital technologies in order for the markets or for the jobs in this market to actually take off. So governments play a huge role, and the attractiveness of these investments are actually hindered or progressed by the role governments play. And so that's where I'm going to stop.
Yeah, very important note on the government again, either making or breaking aspirations for digital careers. Zanele, are you back? Just checking. I'm not sure if Zanele is back. Hello, Zanele.
Hello.
Okay. Oh, great. Welcome, finally. Hello. All right, so I have your question here, and let me know if everything is going well. Can you hear me? Because I can hear you from my side.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, perfect. So you have 5 minutes. Yes, you have 5 minutes, and your question is, with the fast advancement of tech, digital skills are evolving rapidly. How has the digitalization of the global job market changed your organization's focus and modus operandi?
Hello, thank you for the question. My name is Zanele Dimiso from South Africa. I think, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Can you hear? Oh, okay. With me, when I started the business in 2012, I knew that I needed to digitalize some work or how I do business. So it was there even when I started. So being through the pandemic now, it does not change or it does not move me from the actual plan. So I understand, like we've got the website which we work with, we use for our clients as well, and we have a future project of using an app for babysitting services, where it will be easier for clients, whether they are in South Africa or in the same city as me or in a different city. It will be easy for them to use a babysitter which is connected in the city that they're in. So they will be able to check that online and also check the the candidate's profile, and also be able to book the client and do everything online. Hello? Hello? Can you
Hi,
hear me?
Zanele. Yes, you're audible.
Can you hear
Everybody
me?
can hear you.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Oh, so it's what's happening now with everything changing, with the times changing. It's just an emphasis on that I was on the right path, and I still need to continue, but to make it, in fact, to speed it up and not make it, we've got those long-term goals, and not making it too far from the long term, because the future is actually nearer than I had imagined. Sorry, some of my speech is on the laptop, which is not showing properly, so I'm trying to remember what I had wrote. Hi, hello.
Hey, yes. You can continue.
I'm done, thank you.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Oh, did you
done.
say you are done?
Yes.
All right,
You
wonderful. Thank you.
My laptop just didn't correspond now, and I'm trying to remember what I wrote which is saved on the laptop that is not working. But basically, it's all about making sure that everybody is using a smartphone, that is only the ones that are using smartphones, the clients that are using smartphones will be able to connect with us, either because we will then have to be using WhatsApp and your website. So either than that, if one is not using a smartphone, then they won't be able to reach our services, nor will we be able to reach them.
Yeah, that's a good point. So do you ensure that your office is using the latest devices and the latest softwares as well, just as a measure?
Yes, we have to. Well, with regards to IT and everything, I outsource that because I'm only limited to the experience that I have. I'm focusing on what I know, what I can do, and the others, then the IT I outsource. However, I do make sure that everything is up to date, and everything that we use, like the office, is able to assist the clients with the devices that we use. So that our devices are up to scratch, and we have devices that will not let us down. I'm not sure what's happening with my laptop because I did have checked before I even start here. But so we make sure. So I think also we as individuals or businesses, small businesses, we then need to make sure that we are totally ready, because really the pandemic is bringing everything closer than we had expected or imagined. Because in 2012, I thought the future of using technology, like this kind of technology, would be like from probably 2030 or something like that. But then now it's getting nearer than we anybody has ever imagined or thought. So the companies that are manufacturing the softwares, they need to make sure that they're assisting us properly, so that they're using the correct stuff. Because now people will be leaving offices and working from home. Other businesses will be mainly via the laptop. So they need software that will be able to stand through the test of time with the right stuff that one will need.
I really like your point about outsourcing as well. I think that should be something everybody here who's interested in pursuing a career in the digital space should make a note of, that most CEOs out there are trying to outsource, because obviously it's just better to focus on the needle moving activities that you need as a CEO, and look for the right remote workers to support you with everything else, right? I think she's gone again. David, you're next. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, awesome. So this is your question. We have noticed that COVID-19 is accelerating digital transformation everywhere in the world. It is now very common to see farmers check crop prices online, small business owners set up websites to reach customers, and manufacturing companies use robotics to improve speed and quality. We are definitely experiencing a great shift in the nature of work. From your experience, can you share some examples of what digital transformation means in practice? What are the remote work opportunities presented by digital transformation?
Wow. I think my question was very long and very interesting. Huh? It had all the answers in it. Thank you very much for the question again. And of course, as the question itself has mentioned, there's a lot of opportunities and things that have really changed with the COVID-19. And as the last speaker just says, there's 1,001 things now that have transformed since COVID-19. Things that she believed will come in very, very many years. Now they have come like very fast. It even goes to things like Zoom meetings and everything. So there is a lot of different examples that really show how COVID has really fastened the process of digital transformation. And when you talk about digital transformation, of course, it comes from, of course, the word transform, which means to change from one thing to the other. And the digital transformation basically includes the shift from the traditional way of doing things to a digital way of doing things. And when we talk about digital, it of course takes in regard to technology, because now there's technology being used in a lot of things. Of course, some of those that have been mentioned in the question, like robotics, artificial intelligence, all those are what we call digital transformation. So which means people are changing their mindset from not doing things the way they used to do it, but now they shift to doing it in another way. So that is basically what I call digital transformation. And this comes from, this is manifested, of course, through various things that we've been talking about since the beginning of the session. And we've mentioned things like, and that of course takes me to the remote job opportunities directly, because as things are changing, it means opportunities are also being created. I like to say if the world is going digital, then we need to reposition ourselves in the digital world. And these opportunities now, when people are changing, and every time there's a change, there's always an opportunity. And I was just maybe just checking with the news. I think it was on Wednesday or Thursday, where we had Zoom buying the online contacts company for 14 billion plus, 14.4, 14.9 billion. So which means where there's the change, there is all those advantages and opportunities that are created. So there are many opportunities, of course, that we mentioned on the general question, which are digital marketing. There is Iman who talked about also web design and application design. All these are opportunities that people can access from different remote places. There is content development, which comes with digital marketing. There's graphics design. There's e-commerce. There's online social media management. There's a lot of things that come with the digital transformation in terms of opportunities. And on that, we can also look at e-commerce. We can look at agriculture, agri-tech, which is technology in agriculture. We can look at forex trading, which are all those opportunities that have now been created due to the digital transformation. And I think on the question, there was a second question, which was basically something about why people and businesses are not really involving so much in the digital business, in the digital ecosystem. And I think that was the second question, if I'm not wrong. Since you didn't ask it, let me just go on with it. So
yes, you can go on.
Okay, thank you. So the thing that is preventing most of these things, of course, because sometimes it's funny. It's like talking about religion. People talk about heaven and paradise and all good things that will happen in heaven, but people are like, okay, you're talking about heaven, but how can we get to heaven? So the first thing that I say is preventing people from really getting to exploit and get the best of these opportunities. First thing is, I hate saying lack of digital skills. Digital skills is a thing, but I hate saying lack of digital skills because digital skills are available. Anyone who wants to acquire digital skills, the content is available on different platforms, and different organizations today are offering digital skills, which even are for free on some platforms. So digital skills is not the issue, but it's lack of information on knowing that I need the digital skills. And the other thing, I call it negligence. People are neglecting. Yeah, people are negligent about acquiring the digital skills. People are comfortable with their traditional ways, and they really don't want the process of change. So that is the first thing. But the second main thing is policies. Our policies in Africa, I think that is something very critical, because if you look at most African countries, we don't have policies that govern cybersecurity, that govern digital platform, that govern e-commerce. There's a lot of missing pieces, on cybersecurity, the digital economy. There's no unique understanding on digital economy for different African countries. And I normally like to say about this when I'm talking about e-commerce. It is different for e-commerce in Africa compared to that of the US and that of China and India, because those are almost a whole continent that has one funnel. It's like they are in a pipeline. They all have the same currency, they all speak the same language. So e-commerce has been facilitated in a way. So you can't compare e-commerce in China and e-commerce in Africa, because from Burundi to Rwanda is a different language, it's a different currency, it's totally different. When you go to Nigeria, it's totally different. So connecting, finding a common ground becomes difficult, because African governments have not gotten a unique concept of digital economy and how it's going to develop. So it's the policy part that is also limiting people and businesses from really going online and really or taking advantages of this. And also the final thing I'll mention on what is the limiting factors, we'll talk about the investment in the ecosystem. But this investment in the ecosystem is also because digital entrepreneurs also need an ecosystem that can support them to grow, an ecosystem that can support them to acquire skills, to acquire more opportunities, and just to feed them in with different information and updates and also support. And I think those are the three main things that that for me, I feel like they really limit people and businesses to go online. Because in the chat there is someone who said when Iman was speaking, someone asked on digital online learning platforms. There's a lot of
Hi, David. Sorry
issues.
to cut you off. Your 5 minutes has passed. I really love everything you're talking about. I think we can carry on. I just have another speaker that really needs to leave because she had given us an hour. Iman, are you there?
Yes,
I'm here.
yes, I'm here.
Yes, Iman, if you have any closing remarks, you shared a lot of very insightful information. I'm sure our audience would be very interested in learning more from you and knowing the opportunities that might be available that you know about as well. So if you have any closing remarks, you can just say goodbye. We will miss you, but we'll find a way to connect with you so the audience can get more information. But I understand you had given us an hour, so we'll continue to Emmanuel after this, but you can just share your closing remarks with us.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bocello. This has been very interesting. I've been following up the chat. I saw a lot of questions around skills and also around the platforms. And I'd just like to hint out two things before I go. And the third would be like putting my LinkedIn address so that if there are any further questions along, you can tag me on them or send them directly. The first two things is, yes, there are digital freelancing marketplaces that are very well known and that are not a scam. It's easily searchable. You can search for the top 20 digital freelancing marketplaces. You'd find about on the top 5 Upwork, Fiverr, freelancer.com, Guru, and People Per Hour, and many more. I'll be happy to share links that verify those marketplaces later. The second thing is around digital marketing, freelancing marketplaces to start with, or remote work marketplaces to start with. Here, the spectrum is very wide. If you're looking for entry jobs that do not require very strong experience, you could start with Fiverr and People Per Hour, because they provide like small jobs, but they're an entry point where you can grow afterwards. If you're at the end of the spectrum from the other side, there are the specific marketplaces that only target experienced digital marketing freelancers. One of the examples is 99 Designs. There are a lot of other opportunities I'll be glad to share elsewhere as well. But let me say with you that digital marketing has remained for the last 5 or maybe 10 years one of the top demanded remote work skills that is needed. It's an industry of around $3 trillion. The opportunity is huge. Africa has the talent for marketing, and this is well known, and therefore it would be an easy entry to digital marketing. It does not require tons of training. It requires specialization and hands-on practice that can be done through several programs. So the entry barriers are not that huge. There is opportunity for everyone, and it's also one of the very popular top demanded skills from countries in Africa. And this is by studying, not only by just generalizing. So best of luck on that. Now I will leave my LinkedIn contact in the chat for any kind of further communications or questions. And I would like to thank you very much, Bocello and the Yalda team, for this very interesting opportunity and dialogue. And I hope we can meet again and continue this dialogue further. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Iman. All right, let's carry on. I believe if everybody wants to also keep in contact with Iman, they could just send a connection request to her LinkedIn. And something that you could also do is sign up for the Yalda newsletter, right? So we could send you any information that we will get from her. I would like to just highlight something David mentioned about how every time there's a change, there's a new opportunity, right? With the whole pandemic, it was awful, yes, but there was a lot of money shifting, and it's still happening now. So if you're really interested in this career, like digital careers, please jump in. Don't have faulty reasons that will just delay you from jumping in. Emmanuel, are you there? You're next with your question.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, so your question is, according to a study by the International Finance Corporation, IFC, a member of the World Bank Group and the largest global development institution focused on the private sector in emerging markets, there's a potential for 650 million training opportunities and an estimated 130 billion market for digital skills in Africa. With most African economies still focusing on the basic digital skills education, what platforms and opportunities can proactive young people do to close the gap and keep up with the global standard?
Thank you for the question, and I think it's a whole question on its own. I think when you come to when you come to training opportunities and also digital platform to help young people to close the gap, let me give you this background before you so you can understand the whole perspective. So in Africa here, every year over 200,000 young people graduate from various tertiary institutions across the continent, and out of this number, research says that over 60% of them do not find jobs in their first 6 years after completing their school, which means that those 60% that are unable to find jobs should look at other opportunities that they can pursue to able to enhance their employability for them to get jobs. And as a result, the only thing that they can do to able to bridge the gap is to look out for data opportunities. And I will say that because of the lot of online platforms that you can able to learn, young people should get ready to explore and also find jobs in the field that they've never been trained in. So you see someone with accounting background now pursue a career in sales. So I've seen someone with science background now pursue career in development or coding or software or data marketing or full stack data marketer. These are various skills that you can able to acquire even though you may not necessarily finish a first degree in data skills or data marketing. But these are opportunities that you can learn from online. And when you come to digital space at the moment, there are a lot of online platforms that you can take advantage of. Talk of even LinkedIn, for instance, there are a lot of online opportunities that you can online training opportunities that you can able to pursue to able to get additional skills. So I would say that for where I sit, young people should be able to be exposed to learn new skills online, to be exposed to able to practice what they learn, and which is key. Of course, they learn from practicing, so you should be able to expose to and practice what they learn online. The other thing that they also have to take advantage to able to close the gap is to offer themselves voluntary. So when you look at where we are now, every young person wants to find a job right after university. I remember when I left university, I have to do a voluntary job, an internship job for 6 months before finding my full-time job. So I would say that for young people should be able to really to volunteer their time, find an internship opportunities where they can be able to learn from people like yourself and from all those speakers online, volunteer their time, volunteer their time and skills so they can be able to learn. Because the more you volunteer your time, the more you do internships, you're able to learn, to able to acquire enough experiences to get that your dream job that you are aspiring to get. Yeah. Your microphone. I think your microphone is on.
I really, yeah, can you hear me now? I really love how you mentioned practicing being very crucial and just putting yourself out there. Because in my experience, I had to do like 4 apprenticeships for free to gain the experience, because it's all about gaining, like growing a portfolio. So be willing to, don't think about the income first. Think about gaining that skill that will make you very indispensable. And then that's when you can charge the value that you know you are worth, because you have a portfolio to prove it, right? Yeah. So I really love that. Tristan, welcome. I believe another speaker has been able to join us. I'm just checking if Tristan,
Hi.
are you there?
Yes,
Hi,
I'm here.
Tristan,
Yes.
welcome.
Hi,
Yes,
thank you so much.
I guess I'll just, yes, thank you for making the time. Just to reintroduce you, guys, this is Tristan Dampis. She's from South Africa and she's the spokesperson of Mobby Jobs. So Tristan, I have your question here and you have 5 minutes. We're pressed on time.
Okay.
We have 15 minutes left.
Okay, awesome.
What is the gig economy, and how can a gig economy platform like Mobby Jobs participate in the digital transformation of jobs or talents in Africa?
Okay. So let me just start out by just introducing you briefly to what we are as Mobby Jobs. We are a job platform within the SAFCoin ecosystem. And we were created essentially to combat the unemployment disparity or jobs gap in Africa or on the continent. As far as the gig economy is concerned, it refers to a labor market that is made up of a more freelance, more short-term kind of employment, and it refers to your supposed side hustle, if you will, also your on-demand work. So this is directly opposed to or opposite to your more permanent or in-house jobs or your traditional type of employment. So essentially, your gig economy refers to more of your contracted or short-term work gig. Okay. And then the second part of the question. I think it's absolutely no secret that the pandemic has dealt a severe number on the form of security that people used to experience within the traditional job sector. So I think it plays a significant role in transforming job talent in Africa, in that it provides you a more diversified work situation, if you will. And I always say that a freelancer is someone who is a self-starter. Do I believe that a self-starter is born? They can be, but I think that they can also be made. And I think that starts with recognizing the fact that every next move or every next step that you take, whether it be just prioritizing your professional relationships, your work administration, that informs your bigger picture and expediting your process or your way to the top in your industry or career. If you can just repeat that last part of the question to me, Pochelo, if you will, please.
Oh, all right. So how can Mobby Job participate in the digital transformation of jobs or talents in Africa?
In Africa. Okay. Well, I think we need to be very realistic in that there is a major disparity in access to digitization or digital means to actually partake in online work. And I think first and foremost, we need to recognize that, and therefore that puts us in a position where we need to take advantage of state resources that help us access the internet, that help us access resources to actually enable us to partake in the gig economy actively. I think it does an excellent job, especially because there are so many fledgling economies within Africa. It does an excellent job to decentralize a lot of the concentration that's taking place in the traditional job sector, and dispersing some of that into the online space. I think that it does a lot as well insofar that, you know, it takes the pressure off the traditional 9 to 5. It lets you choose your workload, and it offers you independence within the work situation. And I think, particularly within Africa, we are in a very hectic situation as far as unemployment is concerned. Hence, we need, initiatives such as this that offer insight into how to actually expedite or exploit the online space to actually gain employment. Yes, I think definitely it does help with exposure, first and foremost. I appreciate what Emmanuel actually said about volunteering. A very important aspect, not many people want to hear it. They want the stipend. How am I going to get to work? If I can speak purely based off of my own experience, I worked as an intern as well. I did some unpaid work to get my name out there. And, that's what needs to be done, unfortunately. Africa isn't a place as a continent where we aren't always able to pay for everything and get paid for the work that we produce. But, like you said, Bachila, as well, it puts us, in a good position to actually ask for the money that we are worth, once that is over. I think it has an exceptional power to actually transform I think it has an exceptional power to, transform our outlook as far as work life is concerned. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much for that addition. And I think with Mobby jobs, the one thing that we should really look at is, because of the high demand in the digital space, even first world countries are finding it hard to afford the human resources in their countries. And they will definitely be looking for platforms, looking for skills in platforms like Mobby jobs, because of the currency exchange favor for them. I think it is such a great platform that everybody right now who's interested should definitely check it out, sign up.
Absolutely.
And not be afraid to ask. Like, don't be afraid to just send a small business a request that you want to learn and you would learn for free. Do they need somebody to help with anything, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And I think the great part about it is is that, to be a freelancer, unfortunately, the whole idea is that you have to put yourself out there. And if that's not your personality type, you have to make that your personality type, unfortunately. Otherwise, you do lose out on significant work opportunities and, work that can ultimately aid you in terms of career progression. I do feel can be a thing, but I feel like something like Mobby jobs with the review option that allows your clients or your employers or your skills buyers to actually provide you reviews and testimonies of your work. I think that's an excellent feature of it, actually. And I think more than anything, freelancers who do intend on entering the space, it's vital that you actually get reviews for your work. Skills buyers and employers, they love to see other people loving on your work. They love to see people attesting to your work ethic and so forth. So absolutely always ask for reviews for your work. Another thing, just before I end off, you need to be pitching. Freelancing is not typing up an ad, putting it on Mobby jobs. It's a consistent thing. Okay, and in pitching, you need to ask your former employers for referrals as well. It's not begging. That's what you do in freelance. You want to get, your name out, your product out, and you need to be impeccable with your word above all, because your income or the steady stream of your income is directly dependent on your pitching, on you being impeccable with your word and your work ethic. Yes.
Yes, love that. Totally agree with everything you mentioned. I call it be bold, be forward. Don't be afraid to just
Absolutely,
get in
yes.
there. Like,
You
yo,
have
guys,
to.
help you. I want to help
Yeah,
you, and I want
I
to
can do
learn.
it. I'm competent.
I
Yes.
can do it, and
Yeah.
because most of these jobs are really looking for somebody who's eager. Like I say, I can't keep
Mm,
mentioning this. Like most of my interviews, I was just eager. I would tell people that I don't know most of the things, but I
absolutely.
am learning. And if they
Yeah.
see some of these certificates that you have from free platforms, Google offers free courses.
Mm,
If they see things like that, they're sure that, okay, fine, you took the time to learn without nobody asking you or
absolutely.
requiring you
Yeah.
to do it. So you probably do have that eagerness to learn. So it's
Yes.
really all about like have the spunk and just be forward,
Mm.
be bold.
You
All
know,
right,
I
so
also
thank you
see.
so much,
Sorry.
Tristan.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
No, all good.
I'm sure they have a lot of questions. Our audience has a lot of questions. So we will have our first question from Litsidile from Botswana. Litsidile, are you there? Let me know if you're still here so you could have an opportunity to read out your question. Is Nyati there? Oh, her internet is bad, so I guess I'll read her question for her. What digital marketing platforms do you this one is for Henry. Henry, are you still there? What digital marketing platforms do you recommend for an aspiring digital marketer to make money?
Oh, uh, I don't think this is meant for me because when it comes to digital marketing, I have no experience or expertise there. But I
Yeah?
think this is something that you can easily research into. So digital marketing, it's something that you can look into and try as much as possible to see what platforms are actually trending. And I'm pretty sure you can always find through looking at the amount of visitors as well as the activity within each single one of the platforms actually give you a know-how on what's going on. But I'm sorry, I don't have the expertise or the experience to tell you about digital marketing. Sorry.
I know you shared something about your sister getting a certificate. Maybe you can tell that experience if it's in relation to this or digital jobs.
Okay. That's very straightforward. So Microsoft offers a lot of courses, especially for they also do cybersecurity, if I'm aware, and I think she has one from there. You can also check Udemy, Coursera. They all give different courses on cybersecurity as well as other digital technologies or digital certifications, which you will be interested in. But if I recall correctly, some of them go for a high amount of money, especially the really sought after certifications. Usually cost a lot of money, and so it depends on how much you're willing to spend in order to get the certifications.
All right. I could share some free platforms as well that I've used. You guys, if you're interested in digital marketing, there's a website called Acadium. So in Acadium, what it does is it will give you modules to learn on digital marketing. And after you've passed a certain number of modules, what happens is they connect you with small businesses and then that small business becomes your mentor for 3 months. So you'll be practicing as you learn, and when you're done, they could either the small business can keep you, and you also get a certificate for all the time you gave. So that's a really great website that I have used. Let me know if you need a link, and I'll share it after. Another question that I have from Nyati from South Africa. Clelo Nyati, are you here?
Hello, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. May you please just repeat the question you shared with us on the chat box? And if you have
Okay.
a speaker in particular that you're addressing it to.
I actually don't have a particular speaker that I'm addressing it to, but what I would like to know is about which ones are the more trustworthy ones and digital opportunities that could provide you with more long-term opportunities. Because I, for one, have been facing a lot of these, and I try here and there, and some turn out to be scamming. Yes, they are there, and all that. So I wanted to know. Okay, now I've heard about Mobby Africa, the one you presented before this.
Mobby Jobs.
Mobby Jobs Africa, yes, that one. And yeah, that's just what I'd like to know.
Yeah, maybe Tristan could help us answer this question on how they protect interested freelancers from scammers and anybody that might be trolling the website to get money off of eager people that want to learn skills. Tristan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. So I think this is actually deeply discretionary, in that, often if it does sound too good to be true, then it is. If there's some kind of promise of, certain employment after completion of some kind of course, then you are likely dealing with something that's not that legit. I do think that they are, if we are talking in terms of job listing sites for your freelance services, then ones that we are talking about here are ones like Fiverr. I know that one, Fiverr.com, is used throughout the world, and then also Upwork Incorporated and Flex Jobs, and then obviously Mobby Jobs as well. But like I said, if it sounds too good to be true to you, then it usually is. You also do need to guard against some of the online courses that you can partake in. I know Shaw Academy, as well as Udemy, they are very much pushed on social media. And I know that so far they are quite legitimate. They do offer certification. Often they will ask you for your money, and then they won't provide you with any sort of certification or accreditation afterwards. So you need to guard against that, absolutely. I cannot tell you for sure which ones to avoid. I think you just need to go with what's best known. And, sites that have and attested to integrity and that will definitely provide you certification, you need to guard against it. And yes, then again, there are quite a few sites that allow you to list your services. Again, guard against that, extremely discretionary. I would say stick to Mobby Jobs, stick to Fiverr, stick to Upwork, Flex Jobs. Yes. And then there were a few others that Iman mentioned as well earlier on. Yeah, but I can't tell you with absolute certainty, what to look for. But if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. And you need to guard against that as well, especially if they are too eager in terms of asking you for any kind of payment. Guard against that, absolutely. There needs to be some kind of legitimate financial processes and authorization that happens there for it to be legitimate. I hope I've answered your question. If not, you let me know.
Yeah, I definitely, one thing that I check is the reviews as well, because most of these businesses, you find that there are reviews from people's experiences of working with them, and most of these platforms discourage you from leaving the platform and negotiating outside of that platform.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so that's also another thing to
and it's
really
also
look
important, something so simple, check their social media. Always check their social media. Like you said, but a lot of reviews will be in their comments. You will see whether or not they are legit in their comments. If they have a lively social media, they may well be legit. If there's a non-existent social media, something smells off. So do due diligence. Yeah.
Yes, I just have to highlight that we've passed our 5:30. It's 5:30 p.m. and we've passed our 1 hour 30-minute time. But I really would love to continue with the conversation. So if any speaker is pressed with time, please let me know, and I will gladly give you the stage to have closing remarks, right? Because I have a few questions that our audience would really love to ask you. So Let me know if you have to leave. Emmanuel, do you have to leave?
Yes, I have to leave. So I want to say my closing remarks to
Okay.
young people on the call. So as I'm also a young person, and I love to share this anytime wherever I find myself, that if no one is employing you, employ yourself. If there's no one employing you, try and employ yourself. And how do you do that? You do that by creating a business. I always say that with technology, you can be able to create a business and you don't have to have money to create a business. An easy way to create a business is to use this online and free tools available to create a business. You can start a blog. You can monetize a blog. You can start. You can share whatever you've learned so far on YouTube, a video, and people can watch it, and you can be able to monetize it. These are opportunities that you can explore even if you don't have money to start a business. And I know all of you will take advantage and let's make Africa proud. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for making the time. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye-bye for now. Yeah.
Bye-bye. Any other speaker that is, please do let me know. I have a question
Hello.
here for Zanele. Yes? David, are you making your closing remarks?
Yes, please. That would be awesome.
All right. Please also, when you're making them, share some of the opportunities that you're aware of that the audience could leverage.
Okay. First and foremost, thank you to the YALDA network, of course, for getting me an opportunity to be part of this webinar. And it's of course, it's a great discussion, and it will always be a great discussion to talk about online jobs, because that is the future that we're living in today. And I think more discussions will come on. But one thing that I want to close on is, as it has been mentioned in different areas, the opportunities are there. That is nothing to argue about. There's no discussion on that. The opportunities are there. The skills, the opportunities to learn those skills are there. And it's all about commitment and patience. It's all about getting committed and having the patience of trying and failing, and getting people who can help you to try again, so that you might be able to be able to do it now in yourself. So my closing, that is what I'll just maybe like to close with, and say I'll also share maybe my link also on LinkedIn, so that maybe we can have further discussions on that. But opportunities, there are many opportunities. There's a lot of learning opportunities on different platforms. Google has such platforms on the platform Digital Skills for Africa. There's a lot of content on digital marketing. There's Google Analytics and everything. There's everything in Digital Skills for Africa. And there's a lot of other opportunities in Forex trading, of course. It's also one of the fields that is really building with a very small investment, and people are really making money out of it. So that's also something to watch out for. I would not say much about Bitcoins. The Burundian government was very straight on it and said, no, we don't want Bitcoin in Burundi. So that was straight for us. So I've not really ventured much in that. But there are opportunities. It just calls upon us being open-minded and being patient on trying and getting to be perfect on it. So with that, I really appreciate. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the great opportunity. And I think if we continue in this space, we're going to make the African dream a reality together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. All right, so we have 20 minutes. I guess we'll extend by 20 minutes and just continue asking some of the questions that our audience has. Zanele, you're next. So you mentioned outsourcing some of your work, right? What are the key things that you look for from, let's say, a freelancer that you're outsourcing from? that you think anybody interested in this space should really aspire to learn?
Okay, firstly, when I outsource, it's the technical side of business. As a business or as a business owner, SMME or entrepreneur, one, you end up having to do everything. Like you're an accountant, an HR person, a marketing, a salesperson, and an IT for your business. And because I know I don't have much skills, the IT skills, I'm not, they're okay to go by with, but for me to be able to set up and be seen and be known, I need someone that has studied IT will be able to assist me running up, making sure that my website is running up, everything is working fine. So that side of the business I outsource. However, with regards to the recruitment, it's a recruitment I do for babysitters because I have to, my business, I make placements for babysitters, housekeepers, and domestic workers. With the changing times that we're currently faced with, and the the being digital, everything being digital, and us having to, elevate ourselves in our skills. The sad part is that the people that are in the rural areas, they will be the ones that will be left behind in all of this, because you'll find that they're still using phones that, firstly, the network is not that good, and also the phones that they use, they're not really connected on the skills or on the level that we in as the rest of or the developed areas of the city or the country. So it's going to be, that one will be a challenge, because one part of the group or the society or like as a society, we will be growing. You will get the developed people, and then you'll get the underdeveloped. I think that's why we find people saying that the rich will also always be getting richer and the poor will always be getting poorer, because no one will actually go to those areas and teach them on the digital skills. And as I heard from other speakers as well, that it's very important that one, like people now, even the young ones that are coming up that are in schools, they need to think long term with their career choice. They need to think making sure that they are connected, they are up to date with the digital world. And also in my space, the nice thing is that as much as some people will maybe be losing jobs, but then mine will not, it will be changing or evolving, it will be growing, because we will get to a point where we use artificial intelligence. You get your robots coming into play to clean. So the clients won't need the human effect for someone to come clean. They'll want to use a robot to come clean, but they can't use a robot to come look after a child, because that one, I think that needs a human touch. You need someone that's going to be there and actually watch over your child when they cry, be there as a person, and make them rest and making them sure that they find that everything is okay. So with that my background, sorry. With that said, is that we need, like, everybody needs to upskill. As we grow, the government needs to understand that it's not only certain part of the country that needs to grow, but the country itself, everybody in the country needs to grow. But with the people in the rural areas, they don't really care about the digital skills or knowing the digital side of things. If they can answer the phone and say okay and bye-bye, then it's fine. They don't really want to know what happens when you open the phone or how you connect online on website and everything like that. But the thing is, the companies, us, we are connecting, we are skilling up, we are leveling up. They will be left behind. We will then need people that will be more qualified, not really qualified, but more connect or in with the times, as if I could put it like that. Because you can't get someone, like if it's someone in the rural areas and I'm trying to interview them, even now, sometimes I use WhatsApp to try and interview, like your basic stuff. They can't, because with the pandemic, I can't drive down to the rural areas and interview them. And so WhatsApp is more, pardon?
Yeah, I'm just saying yes, definitely. Your time is up, but just you can close it up with one. Yeah.
Okay, so with what, like now, like they don't really care about a phone, a smartphone, if they can answer the phone, because they've got greater problems than what we facing like right now, because we want smartphones, phones that will connect globally, and they only want probably a toilet, a working toilet. So I think the government needs to make sure that we are all growing in this new world, digital world that we're coming in. And also the young people now, they need to make sure that before I get there, the security system or the company that I outsource, they need to make sure that the information of the clients that I will, like now, because I'm working on an app where I'll have everybody's information on the system. When you choose, you can choose the helper that you want, the babysitter that you want using your phone. So with that, I needed to know that the company will be able to guide the information of that person. You know, we don't have to reveal probably the ID number, but at least have the basic stuff. So it's a company whose system will be more intact and I would say covered from all these other people that are trying in to come and steal the information on the system, on the laptops.
Indeed, Zanele, thank you so much for highlighting that. And I think it's very important that you mentioned rural areas being left behind, right? I mean, something as simple as making internet accessible to them could help them improve and advance their digital skills so they become attractive employees, right? So I agree with that completely. The government needs to catch up, but as well, it's important that if the government is too slow for you, find a way to just do it yourself, right? Because we sort of know the African governments that we are dealing with currently. So it could be a matter of, yes, letting them know that, fine, people need to catch up. But while we're still arguing that point, how can I make sure I am still the global standard, right? That's very, very crucial. That government, this and that, but I also have to think about what I need to do to surpass whatever restrictions the government is trying to place upon where I am. Henry, I would really like to close our questions with this one. Are you still there? We have 10 minutes, so this will probably be the last question. All right. Do you think there are any lessons from Africa's processes of automation which workers, investors, or policymakers could transfer to the process of digitalization?
Okay. So I think if there's a lesson we can learn from automation, because given Africa has never really mastered that concept, or we have never really been amongst the top drivers for automation, if there's any lesson which we can learn from that, is that we should not be left behind as we have been done, as has been done to us in the past. So when it comes to what lessons investors, governments, and individuals can learn from that, it has to do with not being left behind. We have to be on top of whatever new skill, whatever new technology, or whatever new innovation is actually changing the world, and be on top of that. So in the past, as I mentioned for my previous question about governments playing a role, in the past when telephone lines were being laid down amongst different countries, Africa never followed suit, or we did very little investment in that, and that led to us being slow to the digital age. So a lot of the dial-up connections, which were first used for internet connections, very little existed in Africa. However, now we're looking at the case of fiber optic cables being laid in the first world, which is basically increasing internet speed everywhere. And this is something that's also going on in Africa. So we're looking for regional integration. We're looking for how countries can invest And so the idea here is not to be left behind again. So now we're transforming to fiber optic cables being laid down in countries. And so this is a case where governments should not be left behind, and investors, because when we look at things like this, they include large sunk costs. And these are not the cases where private investors are going to be willing to invest in areas where they are unable to recoup their investments duly because of the large sunk cost. And so this is a case where we need government to actually to intervene or to also finance some of the investments in these areas. And so we cannot be left behind in fiber optic cables. We're looking at 5G rollout going around in the United States as well as most of Europe. And so far, only 3 countries in Africa, so that's Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa, are actually rolling out 5G in some aspects of their countries. So the main lesson here for me is we cannot be left behind the way we're left behind in industrialization, in automation. And as an individual, as my other speakers have spoken out about, even if the government is not willing to move ahead or to take action, you as an individual, you know some of the skills which are required in this new age, and you can always try as much as possible to learn these skills on your own and not be left behind. So if there's anything you're taking away from this or from this whole webinar, is do not be left behind in this new digital age. Africa was left behind in industrialization, in automation. In this new digital age, we cannot be left behind. So you need to learn whatever skills are required for you to remain relevant, to remain competitive, and to remain competent in this new digital age. Thank you.
Yes, I love that point about not being left behind, because it's pretty simple these days. If the government is too slow, the internet already has the resources you need to catch up, right? So it's not just the government now. You don't have to wait for them to make it comfortable for you. The internet is literally a haven for you to catch up with the global standard. And I believe that was the last question. I'd just like each speaker to give any closing remarks that they may have so that we close the webinar. Tristan, please share your 60-second closing remarks.
Hi. Okay. So I think what I'd like to close off with is very much just related to the acknowledgement of the challenges that we face on the African continent. As Anele mentioned, something as simple as switching on the TV to us, that's a comfort for us, but it's something so far-fetched to someone in a rural area. And as Henry mentioned as well, there's a big part that the government plays in availing these services to people at grassroots level. And often we can't access these things. But to those of us who can and who remain jobless, in a faltering economy, especially with COVID-19, we need to make use of those opportunities, absolutely. The freelance and online market absolutely needs to be exploited. And as I said, it's such an important tool to actually expedite your way to the top. The work life these days is so markedly different to the way that it was back in the day. You don't just work from promotion to promotion. You have multiple streams of income, multiple workflows that are going at the same time. And you need to become adaptable in that way if you want to work in the online space and be successful in the online space. So I think that is my message. Be adaptable, if anything, and be a self-starter at that, and recognize that it is you who has to take stock of yourself. You are the brand when you work in the online space. Always be mindful of that. You take the fall. There's not a business behind you to back you up. So it's so important to be impeccable in who you are and in your trade as well. Yep, that's me.
Thank you, Tristan. Very, very wonderful closing remarks. Being impeccable, relating your delivery with taking it personal with your delivery, right? Making sure everything you give out represents who you are, and it's excellent. Zanelle, your closing remarks, please.
Wow. Well, I would like to say that I think we really need to grow, making sure, when I say grow, making sure that digitally we upskilled, not only if you know that you can lift someone, inform them, show them how to use the simple things, you know. Don't only rise on your own, but lift someone as you can. When I was researching, I found out that only 12%, okay, women using internet are 12% lower than men. So I think, I'm not sure what we're scared of, but I think we need to break that. And actually, we can't be fighting being issues of equality and all these things when we ourselves are not keeping up or stepping up to the game. Because now we need to be equal in the internet space as well, in the digital world, and not saying, oh no, computer games are for men. It all starts there, computer games are for boys. But we need to teach our girls, if you've got a nephew or niece, that computer games is for you too, my girl. So step up and keep up. So we need, in my closure, is that as women, we shouldn't be afraid to start. We shouldn't be afraid to do things, to try things out in our businesses and as well as ourselves. So when the business grow, we must also make sure that we grow as well. Because as an individual, you need to be able to know the business more and dream bigger for the business. So if you're not upskilling yourself, then you'll be limited in dreaming big for yourself and for your organization. Thank
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Zanele. Yes, and even in America, because of the feminist movement, there's a lot of women-led groups or companies, and what's also called digital skills brokers, which are connecting women who want to hire other women, especially in continents like Africa and India, and so that is a very important point. Women are looking for other women to support. So if women can just rise to that standard, obviously those women are looking for impeccable women. So if we can become impeccable, there are opportunities that are available for us. Henry, you're next.
I don't really have any closing remarks to give, other than I think learning, a lot of the speakers have actually hit the nail on the head, which is, if you don't have a job, try and employ yourself. Don't get left behind. Try and learn a new skill. Even if you cannot, if you want a free one, you can always get that. Always make sure you're on top of whatever innovation is taking the world by storm, and basically don't get left behind, because as Africans, for so long have we been left behind, and for so long have we been exploited. So don't get left behind, basically, and try as much as possible to always improve upon yourself and to learn new things. There is no one skill that you can say is the master skill. For decades, it turned out that the top 10 jobs in the world were always in the financial services sector. And then in 2010, there was a huge paradigm shift, and the top 10 jobs that were now demanded were never even in the top 10 jobs before. And everything became digital literacy, or related to information and computing technology. So you need to always understand that paradigm shifts will happen, and you need to stay on top of this constantly in order to make sure you keep learning new skills. Like, you need to improve yourself and to always make sure that you're on top of things.
Thank you, Henry. Yes, again, don't be left behind. Things are moving so fast. AI is coming along. AI is replacing humans. So it's important that you make sure that you have the right skill that will always be needed, and update that skill, because skills change all the time. They need to be updated, they need to be sharpened. So it's quite an important habit to develop, really. It shouldn't be something you do once in a while, but just making sure you keep up, you evolve, and you update your skill so you become competitive enough is very crucial. I will just like to thank everybody. Our time is up. We have 3 minutes. But we do have a note from Iman. So if everybody who's interested in this opportunity that Iman shared with us, it's a free scholarship in the top demand tag for African youth, 22 countries to be exact. So it's sponsored by the Egyptian government. Iman just left a note that a few hundred seats are left and it is by application competition. So I believe the link is shared on the chat box as well. So anybody interested in that opportunity could just check the chat box and the link will be there. Elizabeth has shared it with us. So guys, thank you so much to the
Sorry.
speakers, Henry, Zanella, Kristen. Yes, Henry, sorry.
Sorry, yeah. If you're a PhD student currently and you're African, which I'm guessing everyone is, the Africa Fellowship at the World Bank started taking applications, I think, at the start of this week for the Africa Fellowship program. So I was an Africa Fellow in 2020. That's how I started at the bank. So the applications are currently open. It's a fantastic opportunity. If you're a PhD student, you can apply for it. It's a fantastic opportunity once again. But yeah, so you just go onto the World Bank or just Google Africa Fellowship World Bank, and you should see it. It should come up.
Thank you for sharing that, Henry. I guess because I believe some opportunities will also arise after this webinar, so we will keep in contact with the speakers, and the speakers, please feel free to share any other opportunities that might arise after this as well. Again, thank you so much for making the time to be with us today. Thank you to the audience. If you need more information, just check our Facebook or sign up to our newsletter as well to be updated with our the latest opportunities and to be notified of our webinars. We host our webinars every month, so please stay tuned to get opportunities that we will be sharing with you guys. I would also like to thank the organizers the YALDA organizers for this webinar. Thank you so much to everybody and have a lovely weekend. I'm not sure if I forgot anything, but let me check. I don't think I have. Everybody have a lovely weekend. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or the Elder pages as mentioned before. Goodbye, everybody. Bye. I'll just be here till everybody leaves because it's my
Goodbye.
job. Bye.
Hello.